4 career triple-doubles. You look at her stats, she's number 1 in assists, 8.2 assists per game. Now we got to start talking about the MVP conversation again.
No. Paige and Caitlin, and you market that, and that's what you feed to the people time and time and time again.
Kelsey comes in here and she works every day. I mean, she gets up extra shots. She just comes in and does what she needs to do. And I think, honestly, she's really just the MVP.
In terms of MVP, it may not be in this order, but to me, it's A'ja Wilson, surprise, surprise, Olivia Miles,
Kelsey Mitchell.
Can I get there?
Oh, my bad.
Kelsey Mitchell, Paige Bueckers.
Everyone who said Caitlin Clark wasn't an MVP candidate just got their argument dismantled, demolished, and scattered into the wind. Not chipped away at, not challenged, destroyed. Because what she just did to the Dallas Wings in the second half of that game wasn't a highlight reel moment. It was a statement delivered in real time, on live television, in front of everyone who had the nerve to leave her name out of the conversation. She outdueled Paige Bueckers on the court, while the box score filled up with numbers so absurd that the media is running out of ways to explain them away.
What is it like to sit next to Caitlin after having 29 and 10 and she makes regular game or games that aren't regular look regular?
I mean, I'm at all watching CC play. Sometimes it's like, it's normal, and it's not.
She's like a maestro. I mean, the way that she really runs our offense. I think when we're at our best, she is instructing. She is running it. Much like a show.
And here's what makes it hit even harder. When you stack what happened in this game against what Candace Parker and Aaliyah Boston either said or deliberately chose not to say about Clark's MVP candidacy, the whole thing starts to look less like an oversight and more like a coordinated effort to keep her name small. We are going to walk through every second of it, the stats, the plays, the politics, because by the time this video is done, you will not be able to look at the MVP conversation the same way again.
Number 1 in assists. As you can see, she's top 3 in points per game as well. 4 career triple-doubles. You look at her stats, she's number 1 in assists, 8.2 assists per game. Now we got to start talking about the MVP conversation again.
The media cannot hide this anymore. The numbers will not let them. But before we tear into all of it, let's talk about the pre-game insult that set the tone for this entire week, because there were actually 2 of them running simultaneously, and both deserve their moment in the spotlight. The first one was Stephanie White going on her fist-pounding rant, and then there was Ion, the network airing the Fever Wings game, dropping a promotional advertisement for the matchup that somehow managed to feature Lexi Hull and Paige Bueckers front and center.
Paige Bueckers and the Dallas Wings face off with Lexi Hull and the Indiana Fever. Who? Folks, that's what casuals, we know who Lexi Hull is, but casual fans, people who don't watch every single game, people who are just, they know who Caitlin Clark is, they'll see this graphic, they'll say, well, I kind of know that person on the left. I mean, she looks familiar. I don't know her name, but she looks familiar.
Because apparently, that is the rivalry that Rivals Week was built for. Not the most talked about player in the sport, not the woman responsible for the ratings that are funding the entire league's growth right now. No, Lexi Hull and Paige Bueckers. That was their call. That is the world we are living in. And let's not gloss over how insulting that actually is. We are talking about a network that is benefiting directly from Caitlin Clark's presence in this league. From the viewers she brought in, from the casual fans who became obsessive fans because of her, from the advertising dollars that follow those eyeballs. And they turned around and put her face on the cutting room floor for their own promotional material. That is not an accident. That is a decision someone made in a meeting room, looked at, approved, and sent out into the world. And we are supposed to just move past it? No, we see it. We are calling it out. And the fact that Clark then went out and torched the Wings anyway makes that editorial decision look even more embarrassing in hindsight. But the real gut punch, the one that genuinely stopped fans cold, came from inside the building, from inside the locker room. When Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark's own teammate, sat down to talk about MVP favorites and managed to name Kelsey Mitchell without once mentioning Clark.
Aaliyah Boston.
When you see Kelsey, who already is one of the best scorers in the world, get to this level, what does that say about her work ethic and the way she's playing?
Yeah, Kelsey comes in here and she works every day. I mean, she gets up extra shots. She just comes in and does what she needs to do. And I think, honestly, she's really just the MVP.
Kelsey's the MVP.
Let that breathe for a second. Your own teammate, the woman you share a bench with every single night, the player who is statistically dragging the Indiana Fever to heights this franchise has not seen in over a decade. And Aaliyah Boston looked into the camera and gave you Kelsey Mitchell. Now look, nobody is here to take anything away from Kelsey Mitchell. She is a legitimate scorer, and she has been important to this team. And Olivia Miles, having herself a rookie season, absolutely. A'ja Wilson leading in points again? That's real, that counts, and she belongs in the discussion.
Caitlin Clark broke her own record for most games with 20-plus points and 10 assists in a season in WNBA history, with 9 so far this year. No other player has more than 5 in a single season in league history.
Nobody is pretending those players don't exist. But here is what we are not going to do. We are not going to sit here and accept a version of the MVP conversation where Caitlin Clark's own teammate highlights Kelsey's name as a favorite and leaves Clark completely unacknowledged. And this wasn't a one-time slip either. Boston singled out Kelsey Mitchell as her MVP pick more than once this week. That was a choice, a repeated, deliberate choice. Because when you look at the actual numbers, not vibes, not narratives, not whatever political calculation is happening behind the scenes, Caitlin Clark is not a fringe candidate. She is not a sentimental pick. She is at minimum a top 3 MVP favorite by any honest statistical measure. She is first in assists, she is third in points, and she is first in points per minute, which matters because we all remember the minutes restriction that was placed on her earlier in the season, artificially suppressing her counting stats when the Fever were managing her workload.
You give her the keys, she just literally broke a record. Now she's back at number 1. She's breaking record. You give Caitlin Clark the keys, good things will happen. Number 1 in assists. As you can see, she's top 3 in points per game as well.
Even with that ceiling on her production, she still leads the league in points created and assists by a margin that isn't even close. She is on pace for the best per-game assist numbers in WNBA history. And somehow the narrative being pushed by media, by analysts, by people who should know better, is that Paige Bueckers is the superior guard in this league right now. That Clark isn't even in the mix. That the MVP conversation can happen without her name in it. She just answered that. Loudly. The first half of this game was not what any of us wanted to see. The Wings led 37-35 at the break, and if you were watching like we were, your stomach dropped when Clark hobbled off the court near the end of that half and disappeared into the locker room tunnel. That moment had every Fever fan holding their breath, but she came back out. Whatever they did to her in that locker room worked because the player who returned in the third quarter was not the same player who limped off the floor.
Caitlin Clark had a big night, particularly in the third quarter. She had a massive third quarter. 34 minutes, 29 points, 11 of 18, 2 of 8 from three-point range, 10 assists.
She was locked in, she was physical, and she was ready to take the game over piece by piece. She started by shot-faking Paige into the air and going straight to the rim for the easy layup.
Caitlin Clark, by the way, 10 points in 5 minutes at one point. This was during her insane third quarter run. She gets the ball, drives down. Oh, that little stutter step, drive through the lane for the layup.
Clean, precise, ruthless. But the sequence that announced she was fully taking command came when she stepped in front of a pass, intercepted it cleanly, pushed the pace in transition, and finished at the other end. And then came the moment that had defenders looking completely helpless. She attacked Odyssey Sims and left her standing there. When she wasn't scoring herself, she was doing exactly what her fans show up to see, and exactly why WNBA players are now earning 7 figures. She was running the offense, she was pushing tempo, and she delivered a full-court strike to Kelsey Mitchell that was a genuine work of art. By the time the third quarter was over, Caitlin Clark had 17 points and 2 assists on 7 of 9 shooting from the field.
Caitlin Clark also in the third. Right here, three-pointer. She's going to pull up. Way downtown. Bam. Knocked it down.
That is not a hot streak. That is dominance on a precision level. In the fourth quarter, the rest of the Fever caught fire around her. Kelsey Mitchell hit big shots. Ty Harris went 5 for 5 from three-point range after going scoreless from the field in her previous 6 games. And good for her. That is a real contribution on a night that mattered. The Fever won, and they are now 10 games above 500 for the first time since 2012, the year they won the championship. But Caitlin Clark was the engine. She finished with 29 points and 10 assists. In the second half alone, she scored 20 points on 72.7% shooting with 6 assists and a steal. She outperformed Paige Bueckers head-to-head, and yes, Paige had a good game. We are not here to erase that. But Clark was better. The numbers said so. The scoreboard said so. And anyone still leaving her out of the MVP conversation after tonight isn't analyzing basketball anymore. They're protecting a narrative. And tonight, Caitlin Clark set that narrative on fire. Think about what it actually takes to do what she did tonight. She walked into that game carrying the pre-game disrespect from a network that literally erased her from their own promotional material. She watched her own teammate name someone else as an MVP favorite on camera. She tweaked something in that first half and limped off the floor while everyone watching wondered if the night was over. And then she came back out and dropped 20 points and a half on nearly 73% shooting. That is not just talent. That is character. That is the kind of player who hears every whisper, absorbs every slight, files it away, and cashes it in when the lights are brightest. You cannot teach that. You either have it or you don't. And Caitlin Clark has it in a way that this league has not seen in a very long time. The people trying to minimize her right now are not just wrong. They are going to look foolish when the hardware gets handed out. And we will be right here when that happens. She just tied herself for the longest 20-point, 10-assist game streak in the entire history of this league. Not this season, not this era. History. And she became the fastest player ever to reach 700 assists. A record that belongs to her, permanently, no matter what anyone says on television. She also holds more games with 25 or more points and 10 or more assists than anyone who has ever suited up in the WNBA. Anyone. Ever. Aaliyah Boston and Candace Parker want to leave her off their MVP shortlists? We see you. The stats are right here, and they are not going anywhere. Now, some of you are going to say that career totals are irrelevant to a single-season MVP conversation, and that is a fair debate to have, except for one thing you cannot ignore. This is only her second healthy season in this league, and her second, she finished 4th in MVP voting in year 1, playing through chaos, through physical punishment, through a rookie year that would have broken lesser competitors. And now her numbers are better. She is sharper. She is more efficient. She is not leveling off. She is accelerating. That trajectory is not something you can dismiss. It is a warning. It is a flashing red light for every team in this league and every pundit who bet against her. Because if this is year 2, what does year 4 look like? What does a fully locked in, fully healthy, fully unleashed Caitlin Clark look like at the peak of her powers? The answer to that question should terrify everyone who spent the last 18 months trying to cut her down to size. The people who left her open paid for it. The people who doubted her are already on the wrong side of history. And the people running this MVP conversation without her name at the top are not making a basketball argument. They are making a political one. We all know it. You know it. Say it out loud. The numbers have delivered their verdict. Clark is the standard. Everything else is just noise. And if you've been watching this unfold and nobody in your circle gets it, you're in the right place. Courtside Leaks is where we see what the cameras don't show and say what the commentators won't. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because when the next story breaks, you'll want to be the first one who knew.